Hello class. I decided to post another video. This one's going to be a chapter book that I wanted to read through with you guys. So I'm going to post this chapter by chapter. So each video will be one chapter. That's the idea anyways. So the book that I chose, let me show you up close. The book that I chose is How to Steal a Dog. Okay, you can see the cover set up. Looks like Fishing for Dogs. So the novel's by Barbara O'Connor. Here's a little quick description of it in the back. It says, as I read my list of rules over again, I felt myself splitting right in two. Half of me was thinking, Georgina, don't do this. Stealing a dog is just plain wrong. The other half of me was thinking, Georgina, you're in a bad fix, and you gotta do whatever it takes to get yourself out of it. Georgina Hayes is desperate. Ever since she and her mama and little brother were evicted from their apartment, they've been living in their car, and she hates it. It's uncomfortable and embarrassing. The kids at school are beginning to guess that something's wrong. But Georgina can't tell anyone, not even her best friend, Luann. Luann? We're gonna stick with Luann. Luanna? Luanny. I don't know. Let me figure out the pronunciation of that real quick. With her mama busy juggling two jobs and trying to make enough money to move them into a house of their own, Georgina is left looking after her younger brother, Toby. And she has her heart set on improving their situation. When she spots a missing dog poster with a reward of $500, the solution to all her problems suddenly seems within reach. All she has to do is find the right dog to steal. What happens next is the last thing she expected. All right, so without further ado, well, let me figure out, for purposes of this book, I'm gonna say that the pronunciation is Luann. All right, and without further ado, How to Steal a Dog. How to Steal a Dog by Barbara O'Connor. Let me scoot this up a bit so you guys could read along with me. There we go. To the dogs in my life. Phoebe, the sweet one, Maddie, the angry one, and Murphy, the one who stole my heart. How to Steal a Dog. Chapter 1. The day I decided to steal a dog was the same day my best friend, Luann Godfrey, found out that I lived in a car. I had told Mama she would find out sooner or later, seeing as how she was so nosy and all. But Mama had rolled her eyes and said, just get up on there to the bus stop, Georgina, and quit your whining. So that's what I did. I stood up there at the bus stop, pretending like I still lived in apartment 3B. I pretended like I didn't have mustard on my shirt from the day before. I pretended like I hadn't washed my hair in the bathroom of the Texaco gas station that very morning. And I pretended like my daddy hadn't just waltzed off and left us with nothing but 3 rolls of quarters and a mayonnaise jar full of wadded up dollar bills. I'm wondering what waltzed off means. And I pretended like my daddy hadn't just waltzed off and left us with nothing but 3 rolls of quarters and a mayonnaise jar full of wadded up dollar bills. So judging from the context, I'm gonna say that it sounds like waltzed off means just left. So her daddy hadn't just left her family. I guess I'm pretty good at pretending. My brother Toby, however, is not so good at pretending. When Mama told him to get up to the bus stop and quit his whining, he cried and carried on like the baby that he is. I'm wondering what kind of relationship she has with her baby brother. It sounds like she thinks that he's kind of a baby. What's wrong with Toby? Luann asked when we were standing at the bus stop. He has an earache, I said, trying as hard as anything to look like my life was just as normal as could be, instead of all crazy like it was. When I saw Luann's eyes narrow and her lips squeeze together, I knew her nosiness was about to irritate me. Sure enough, she said, then how come your mama is making him go to school? She kept looking at me with that squinty-eyed look of hers, but I didn't let on like I was irritated. I just shrugged and hoped she would hush up about Toby. No offense, Georgina, she said, but you're starting to look kind of unkempt. Unkempt? That was her mama talking if I'd ever heard it. Luann wouldn't never have said that word unkempt if she hadn't heard her mama say it first. And what was I supposed to say about that anyways? Was I supposed to say, well, for your information, Luanna Godfrey, it's kind of hard to keep your clothes looking nice when you've been sleeping in the back seat of a Chevrolet for a week? Or maybe I was supposed to say, I know it, Luann, but my hairbrush got tossed out in that pile of stuff Mr. Dieter had left on the sidewalk when he kicked us out of our apartment. And then Luann would say, why'd Mr. Dieter do that? And I would say, because 3 rolls of quarters and a mayonnaise jar full of wadded up dollar bills doesn't pay the rent, Luann. But I didn't say anything. I acted like I hadn't heard that word unkempt. And I just climbed up on the bus and sat in the 6th seat on the left side with Luann, like I always did. I knew Luann wouldn't give up, though. I knew she would keep on till she found out the truth. So as I was reading, I'm wondering, what does unkempt mean? Well, I think unkempt, looking back at it, when she said unkempt, she also mentioned that she couldn't find her hairbrush, that she had mustard on her shirt, and then she also said she's been sleeping in the back seat of a Chevrolet, and I know when I sleep in my clothes, they get all wrinkly. So I'm thinking unkempt probably means kind of messy looking. What if she wants to come over, I said to Mama. Or what if she looks in the window or something and finds out that we don't live there anymore? But Mama just flapped her hand at me and closed her eyes to let me know how tired she was from working 2 jobs. So every day I imagined Luann peeking in the kitchen window of apartment 3B. When she did, of course, she wouldn't see me and Toby and Mama and Daddy eating our dinner and being happy. She'd see some other family, some happy family that wasn't all broken up like mine. And then one day, when we got off the school bus, Luann went and did the nosiest thing I could imagine. She followed me. I was trying to catch up with Toby because he grabbed the car key and run on ahead of me, so I didn't even notice her sneaking along behind me. She followed me all the way up, way past apartment 3B, across the street and clear around the back of Eckerd Drugstore, where our car was parked with laundry hanging out the windows, and Toby sitting on a milk crate waiting for me. If there was ever a time when I wished the earth would open up and swallow me whole, it was when I turned around and saw Luann looking at me and Toby and that car and all. I could see her thoughts just as plain as day right on her face. I wonder, why is she wishing the earth would open up and swallow her whole? Could it be that she's embarrassed because Luann caught the fact that they're living out of their car? Maybe. I wanted to wave my hand and make that dented up car disappear off the face of the earth. But more than anything, I wanted my daddy to come on home and change everything back to the way it was before. I set a smile on my face and said, it's just temporary, like Mama had said to me about 100 times. Luann turned red and said, oh. When Mama gets paid, we're moving into our new apartment, I said. Oh. And then we both just stood there, looking at our feet. I could feel the distance between us grow and grow until it seemed like Luann Godfrey, who had been my best friend forever, was standing clear on the other side of the universe for me. Finally, she said, I better go. But she didn't. She just stood there, and I squeezed my eyes shut and told myself not to look pitiful, and for heaven's sake, don't cry. And then, of course, Toby had to go and make everything worse by saying, Mama left a note that she's working late, so we're supposed to eat that macaroni that's in the cooler. Luann arched her eyebrows up, and then she said, haven't seen your daddy in a long time. That did it. I couldn't stop the tears from spilling out of my squeezed up eyes. I sat down right there in the drugstore parking lot and told Luann everything. I felt her arm around me and I heard her saying something, but I was too lost in my misery to do anything but cry. When I was all cried out, I stood up and brushed the dirt off the seat of my pants and pushed the hair out of my eyes and said, "Promise you won't tell?" Luann nodded. "I promise." "I mean, not even your mama?" Luann's eyes flickered for just a second, but then she said, "Okay." I crooked my pinky finger in the air and waited for her to give me the pinky promise, but she hesitated. I stamped my foot and jabbed my pinky at her. Finally, she crooked her pinky around mine, and we shook. Why do you think Georgina doesn't want Luann to tell her mom about Georgina's situation? I know that back a couple pages ago, it seemed like Luann's mom said the word unkempt to describe them. So it seems like she's afraid that Luann's mom's going to judge. "I'd better go," she said. I watched her hurry across the parking lot, then glance back at me before disappearing around the corner of the drugstore. "I hate that macaroni," Toby said from his seat on the milk crate. It was just like him to not even give me one little minute to wallow in my misery. I stomped around to the back of the car and kicked the cooler, sending it toppling over to its side. Ice and water and plastic containers spilled out onto the parking lot. "Me too," I said. Then I climbed to the back seat of the car and waited for Mama to come back. It was way past dark when I heard Mama's shoes click-clacking on the asphalt as she made her way back towards the car. I sat up and looked out the window. Even in the dim glow of the streetlights, I could see her tired, sad look. Part of me wanted to stay put and just go back to sleep and leave her be. But another part of me wanted to get out and have my say, which is what I did. Mama jumped when I opened the car door. "What in the world are you doing awake, Georgina?" she said. "I hate this," I said. "I don't want to do this anymore." I pushed the car door shut softly so Toby wouldn't wake up. And then I turned back to Mama and said, "You've got to do something. You gotta find us a place to live. A real place, not a car." Mama reached out like she was going to touch me, so I jerked away. She dropped her hand to her side like it was heavy as cement. Then she let out a whoosh of breath that blew her hair off of her forehead. "I'm trying," she said. "How are you trying?" She tossed her purse through the car window into the front seat. "I just am, okay, Georgina." "But how?" "I'm working 2 jobs. What else do you want me to do?" "Find us a place to live." I stomped away from her and then rolled back around. "This is all your fault." She stormed over and grabbed me by the shoulders. "It takes money to get a place." She gave me a little shake when she said the word money. "I'm trying to save up, okay," she said. She let go of me and leaned against the car. "How much money do we need?" I said. She looked up at the sky like the answer was written up there in the stars. Then she shook her head real slow and said, "I don't know, Georgina. A lot, okay?" "Like how much?" "More than we got." We both stood there in the dark and listened to the crickets from the vacant lot next door. Mama draped her arm around my shoulder, and I laid my head against her and wanted to be a baby again. A baby that just cries and then gets taken care of. And that's all there is to a day. Finally, I asked her the same question I'd asked her about 1,000,000 times already. "Why did Daddy leave?" I felt her whole body go limp. "I wish I knew." She brushed my hair out of my eyes. "Just got tired of it all, I reckon." "Tired of what?" The silence between us felt big and dark like a wall. Then I asked her the question that had been burning a hole in my heart. "Tired of me?" Mama took my chin in her hand and looked up at me hard. "This is not your fault, okay?" She peered inside the car at Toby, all curled up in a ball in the back seat. "Got to go," she said. "Where?" "I don't know, just somewhere else." The car door creaked when she opened it, sending an echo into the still night air. "We've been here 2 nights now," she said. "Cops are liable to run us off if we don't leave." She shot me a look when she saw the overturned cooler, so I helped her gather things up before I climbed. back into the car. As we drove out of the parking lot, I slouched down and stared glumly out the window. The empty shops we passed made Darby, North Carolina seem like a ghost town, all locked up and dark. Mama pulled the car onto the alley beside Bill's Auto Parts. When she shut the engine off, we got swallowed up in quiet. I'm wondering, where does this story take place? Well, it says right here, Darby, North Carolina. North Carolina is a state, and Darby must be the city. That's why it's written first. I draped a beach towel over the clothesline that Mama had strung along the middle of the car to make me a bedroom. I could picture Luann snuggled in her pink and white quilt with her stuffed animals lined up along the wall beside her and her gymnastics ribbons taped on her headboard, and I sure felt sorry for myself. Then I curled up on the seat, turning every which way trying to get comfortable. Finally, I settled on my back with my feet propped up against the car door and stared out at the starry sky. And then I saw it, a sign tacked up there on a telephone pole right outside the car window, a faded old sign that read, "Reward, $500. And under it was a picture of a bug-eyed little dog with its tongue hanging out. And under that it read, "Have you seen me? My name is Mitzi." $500. Who in the world would pay $500 for that little old dog? Mama, I whispered through my beach towel wall. Mama rustled some in the front seat. Would $500 be enough money to get us a place to live? I said. Mama sighed. I suppose so, Georgina. Now go to sleep. You got school tomorrow. I looked up at Mitzi and my mind started churning. What if I could find that dog? I could get that money and we could have a real place to live instead of this stinking old car. But that dog couldn't be anywhere. I wouldn't even know where to look. Besides, that sign was old. Somebody had already probably found Mitzi and got that $500. I stared out the window at the sign, thinking about Mitzi, and wondering if there are other folk out there who would pay money for their lost dogs. And that's when I got a thought that made me sit up so fast, Toby mumbled in his sleep, and Mama hissed, "Shh." I folded my legs up and lay back down in my beach towel bedroom. The damp car smelled like greasy French fries and bug spray. I closed my eyes and smiled to myself. I had a plan. I was going to steal me a dog. And that's the end of the chapter. Couple questions to think about. So, have you ever been so embarrassed about something and didn't want anyone else to know? What do you think Georgina's plan to steal a dog is? Is there a case that stealing a dog is okay, or is it never okay to steal a dog? And lastly, from what you know so far, describe the character Georgina. So I would like all of these questions answered, preferably in your notebook, and then you could post your responses to Google Classroom. I'd love to see what you guys think. All right, that's it for this lesson. Next lesson, we're going to be doing chapter 2.